It's time to talk. You and me, baby. All right, Wednesday, the Senate passed a bill which would require women to also register for the Selective Service System in the event that the nation issues a draft. Hillary Clinton said in an interview that she's conveniently in favor of the legislation since her daughter is now outside the draft window, I'm guessing. Now, should ladies be on call for a draft if we use it? And should there be selective service at all? Let's ask Pete Hegseth. He's a Fox News contributor. He's also an Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran. Served very proudly and honorably in our armed forces, particularly the Army. Welcome back, Pete.
Thank you for having me.
It's the least I could do. So let's find our common ground.
Yeah.
And that's despising Hillary Clinton. Before we diverge into,
I don't think we'll have as much divergence as you think. But, no, Hillary Clinton is conveniently, as you said, now in favor of it. Wouldn't have been, of course, a decade ago.
10 years ago,
It's all part of the metamorphosis that she has made.
Yeah.
But it's the logical conclusion of the left's perspective on this. If you're going to open up every combat role to women, then how can you say that the selective service isn't open to our daughters as well?
Yeah.
And, in fact, this law was first introduced by Republicans in the House who were against the idea but wanted to prove the point of how absurd where it ends logically.
Yeah.
And here we are passing it. I think it's a bad idea. I don't think it improves our warfighting capabilities. This administration's been all about social engineering and social justice from the beginning, equality.
That's what the draft is, though. The draft is social engineering. It's a form of slavery, really. You know, if against your will you're being conscripted, you're being forced to fight for your country, how is that not indentured servitude?
I think it's called service to country. I wouldn't call those
service to country.
I wouldn't call those drafted to go to fight in Vietnam slaves. I would call them conscripts who went against, in some cases, their will, but did their patriotic duty for a nation that felt it needed them. You can go too far. You can, and we are a all-volunteer military at this point. I'm not in favor of all. There's some people that believe in universal national service. Of course not. That'll just be used to grow government. But a list that you could go back to if there was such a national emergency, if necessary, I do think is important.
Then you hate Americans, obviously. You think so little of them that you think not enough people would sign up. I have so many friends who signed up right after 9/11. They really did. They enlisted. They wanted to fight for their country. They were so deeply moved by the way we were attacked. And I actually, I think that people are good enough, they are strong enough, they are patriotic enough that we don't need the selective service at all. Ever.
I think a lot would step up. There is no doubt about that.
Especially women. Now, but you fundamentally disagree that women, you think women should not be in combat roles, correct?
I don't think, because I think inevitably the standards will eventually be eroded by bureaucrats or by political military leaders and others, because it eventually devolves into quotas. Hey, why don't we have enough women in this role or this area or this unit? And so gender neutrality is the word that they use now. It means the standards will come probably down a little bit for men, maybe up a little bit for women. In that case, you're not improving warfighting capability necessarily. You feel better about yourself that they're all open. But there are certainly some positions that could have been opened and there's no consequence. But as a platoon leader who's led men in combat, it does add extra complications. There's no doubt. Women have been involved in combat. It's a different thing to put them in proactive roles, which I just think creates some variables that aren't necessarily. I'm
going to leave that up to you. You're an Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran, like you've actually been in combat. I totally understand that. I know women who've served in combat roles, and they could crush you. With their bare hands.
I have no doubt about it.
So why not take those women and encourage them to be? I mean, I feel the same way about firefighters.
We could.
I feel the same way about fat old firefighters. Just because they're getting a pension in a few years doesn't mean that they should still be out there rescuing kittens from trees and humans from buildings if they can't do the job.
And if I felt like the standards would stay right where they are right now, then I would be much more comfortable with that.
So basically, we should annihilate the draft, and people should fill the combat roles that they are physically equipped for, regardless of
In a perfect world, absolutely.
That's
I think
right.
we found some common ground.
You and I, together, will create that perfect world. It's happening. The singularity is upon us. Thank you so much, man. I always appreciate what you heard. Very good.